really supposed to happen, but it has now, so we'll just leave it at that. I'll time lapse it. Okay, then you can watch too. Yeah, then you can enjoy it just as much as I am. Cool. Otherwise, just subscribe, man. It's free, it's cheap. You get to see this, and this, and this, and this. Hey guys, welcome back to DMAC Customs on the YouTube. Dave here in the garage, and look, it's gone. It's gone. Yeah, there. Finally stopped raining, so I could push it out the garage and sweep the floor. How cool is that? This week's video on the YouTube, DMAC Customs on the YouTube. What are we doing? We're going to do a bit of work on the body. I'll move away from the chassis stuff for a little bit because I haven't got any more stuff to put on there yet. I've got to do exhaust, air lines, bags. Haven't got any of that stuff, so I have a bit of a break from the chassis and go back to doing a little bit of rust work on the Euro 51s. Front body mounts is a little bit in the bottom corner, but I'll show you anyway. Well, let's just get at it, go and have a look. I'll bring it in. Oh baby, that was an adventure getting that in. Something I forgot about was the heights of everything to get over the motor and stuff on the old chassis and stuff. I needed to kind of wind it up and get it in there. And the temperature's come up now and it's hot and I'm all sweaty and sticky already and I haven't really even done much at all. But what I'm sort of planning on doing today is start digging into this. Hopefully you can see it. There's a bit of swelling and on a lap joint there, so I want to cut that out, fix that up, finish this bit here up, clean it up a bit. We've got some issues with these body mounts. Had to cut a piece off to get the body off past the heads on the motor, but I've got to modify these a bit more anyway. And this one here is quite rusty and scody in the back. Now someone's already been in here and done a repair before I got it. This is not bad, it just needs cleaning up, and that front side's not too bad. This side here, yeah, she's pretty cooked as well. The repair's got pinholes and crap like that in it, so they'll need to be plugged up. So yeah, that's my target, fixing rust stuff, reinstating a couple of things and yeah, fixing them up. I don't quite know what I'm going to do with these things yet, how I'm going to do those, because these are just like a little bucket for crap to sit in and rust on both front side and back side. And not that it's going to be seeing the kind of duty that it saw back when it was new, but still kind of crap will just dust and shit will end up sitting there. So I'm thinking, I don't know whether this is right or not. This looks like it's about 2 mil, 2.5 mil, making a new body mount that is just, you know, heavier and not a kind of contained bucket as such. And then maybe on the back side sort of fold it up. There's my knees, fold it up so it's still attached up here and here, but then maybe scallop it out like that so crap can fall out of it and not just end up living in it, eating it away. Yeah? Okay. So could do with some light now that I've turned this round. Now to get this back in, I'm going to have to either wind this thing right up again to get the chassis underneath it, or turn the chassis around on the driveway so I can kind of back it in, which is getting difficult now that it's got an engine and stuff in it because it gets quite heavy. Yeah, so but anyway, I'm going to start picking into this pit here. I'll do that first, clean up that, and then we'll figure out what we're going to do in the next bit later. I've been thinking about this for months and I still haven't made a decision on how I'm going to do it, but yeah, let's get into it. Okay, so you can see this better now. I left this repair for like till now because it was kind of, I figured it would be easier to do this once all the body was off the chassis and access was a bit easier. Unfortunately it's like come out way up here, so I'm not quite sure how I'm going to get up there to kind of relieve that steel of this rustiness. But you can see it's kind of like moisture's got underneath this lap joint, swelled it up. That's why it's important to use your seam sealer, boys, get them really locked up. Epoxy X primers are good too apparently, so this needs a bit of, I don't know what's going on here. I made this bit because these were cut off when I got it, so I had to make new ones, but I don't know what the story with that was and why I didn't clean that up anymore and hammer that down, but could have been access. I can't really remember now, it was a couple of years ago. So, but anyway, I'm going to zip down here, see if I can unpick these spot welds and see what kind of state it's in underneath. Hopefully not too bad. So. Alrighty, so filthy already. So that's what I got underneath. It's not too bad actually. There's a little bit of pitting up here, which I think I can live with. But under here, it's all pretty good. Yeah, it's just kind of up underneath there. I don't quite know how I'm going to get to that. I might be able to get in there with a die grinder and kind of clean that back, and then just weld the bejesus out of it, and hopefully it gets some seam sealer and makes it look pretty and locks it up. And I'll spray some of that rust converter stuff up in there as well. Actually, I might do that now before I go too much further, so that can be drying while I make up. Actually, no, I've got to do the die grinder bit first. Do that and then I'll do the rust converter. Alrighty, so die grinded, rust converted. Now templating. So I should have grabbed a pen, but I didn't. So I'm just cutting a rough piece to get me started. Is that going to work? It's actually not that far off the curve that I want actually, but I wonder how far up am I going to go in there? Cut a little notch out of there. Like so. So it's going to go up in there somewhere, like so. So I'm just going to do the old press it on trick, like so, and then I'll trim that up like so, and I'll go cutting, careful, like scientific type cutting. And then, where's that going to go? Down there. And cut that off there, like so. That's my end. So now I've just got to decide how wide I want that to be. It's about 20-25 millimeters. Might make it a little bit longer, a little bit wider, and then I'll go and find a piece of steel so I can cut that out. Alright, I might use a pen for accuracy. I'm going to sneeze any second. There he is. Oh, crikey, jeez, blew my brains out. Right, so I'm going to make this 25mm wide. And of course I left my scissors down on the floor. Like that, my scissors. Scissors, exciting stuff. You get to see me cutting out this cardboard. So that's template. Give it the old trace around. Just a touch longer for trimmage. And now cut that out. The old zip disc, or can I use tin snips? No, it's a bit thick. This is 1.2mm, which is 16 gauge, I think, for the American translation, Canadians and that, who are still stuck in the dark ages using imperial stuff. Just kidding, guys, just kidding. Let's get cutting. Got my piece cut. Now let's have a little bit of a fit up and see how it's got to, oh, pardon me, land. So that's roughly where it's got to go there. Does it go up higher? It goes in about there, which is not bad. I don't know whether the lighting's that great, but what I'm thinking is that should be alright once I fill it up with weld and stuff, you know? So, starting at the bottom, I'm going to put a little bit of a bend in it. Here's my hammer. Right there. It actually dips in and comes back out, doesn't it? So, that. It's a little bit wide at the bottom too. Oh, hang on. Right weighage. So I have to trim this up. I might just trim it back to about there. And then we'll go plug, 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 and then I'll go plug. Hopefully I can get in there to do that top one. Ooh, might just have to do a bit of a boogery weld up under there to hold it in place and then seam seal the crap out of it. But yeah, that's me bit. I'm going to spray some, I might actually get in there with the roll lock, give it a bit more of a clean up, give me some clean steel to work to, clean that rust converter stuff off the kind of top faces where I'm going to, especially where I'm going to be putting my plug welds. So I'll just mark those. So we're going to go in there, nothing there. So I'll get in there with the roll lock and clean them up so I've got something to weld to. Down here I'm just going to tack it in place and then bash it around until I can get it to fit, because that's what I'm going to do. And got to draw some holes. Alright, some of this. Just like that. Okay, so that's when I say some of this copper weld through primer. I don't know, it's got some sort of magic chemical reaction that happens when you weld around it through it. Look, so I'm already making a mess, tools on the floor and on the bench and stuff. And but yeah, so let that dry off. I'll put some stuff away. I'll kind of tidy up, organise a little bit again, and then I'm going to start welding that in. Alrighty, so that's that welded in, ground up as far as I'm going to take it. I actually TIG welded that kind of butt joint, just kind of a bit of practice and stuff, and it was a bit of a struggle, to be fair. There's a lot of kind of crappy crap in that under the steel, and you know, there's another like overlap there, there's a spot weld there, stuff like that. So I'm making excuses for why there's porosity in the weld. I thought it was cleaned up enough, but nah, it was pulling stuff from kind of behind it into it, so it was a bit of a shit fight. But persevered and kind of got it welded on. As you saw on the video, I did actually do the MIG weld. I did the plug welds. I've actually ground them back most of the way now. I don't really know why. I did one because it was quite proud, and then I thought I would better do the others, and then next thing you know, I'm doing that. So it's a couple of little kind of porosity holes in that in here, which that'll be alright. Like once it's sort of all sealed up and whatnot, that won't go anywhere. Yeah, so that's that one little patch repair done. Crikey, she's still got a ways to go on the old firewall. Got a heap of holes up there and grinding to do, and I haven't got much shielding gas for the MIG, so I'm not going to go too. That's why I didn't want to MIG weld that part, because I kind of want to use the MIG on these front body mounts probably. But that's what I'm going to tackle next. But I might have a little bit of a tidy up, put some stuff away, so I can kind of start afresh on this next part of the project. Okay, back in a sec. Okay, so back on the template. What's on there? It's metal melted into this pen cap. There it goes. It's going to work. Cool. What I'm thinking, well, I actually haven't really thought that much about this, is just kind of reproducing this foot really, but just as maybe a bit of a channel, leave it open-ended, so I'm not got, does that take some of the strength out of it? I guess it kind of does, eh? Maybe I will fold it up, but what I want to do is try and get a tracing of the footprint. And the holes. So then I can sort of add some onto it somehow, fold it up. So that's the main sort of footprint there. Yeah. Then I can cut that out, make a template, and then I can reverse it for the other side as well, you see. So I'm just not really too sure whether I just kind of cut it off around here, cut that crap off the back, and then when I weld it back on, just kind of weld it in through there. But I've got to allow room for washers and that. I don't want a big weld hard out on there. I mean, this is double skinned here. This part of the body mount kind of comes down and lands, and it's kind of shaped and it folds into here. I don't know if you can see it on the camera, but there's a double skin there, and this kind of where part of the problem is. All crap sort of sits in there and gets rusty. And also I want to put a fold in right through there, fold that back so I can clear the exhaust. I was just going to trim it back a bit more, but I think I might fold it and see if I can like kind of tag it in there and trim some more of that out of the guts of this here, just to kind of, you know, tidy this up and make it look a bit neater. Well, I see a lot of people just cut this side of the mount off and only have one. I kind of would like to retain two, just for, you know, the GM gods decided to put it there for some reason, you know, and I just want to make sure it's all strong enough. It should be strong enough, eh? Like heaps, but that's kind of what I want to do. So I'm going to start with rebuilding the foot on each of them, and then I can make the modifications from there, but I just got to make sure it all lands back on the right places and the right angles and stuff like that. Yeah, so I'll probably take some degree measurements, might be a good idea, because it is on a little bit of an angle. We'll figure it out. Okay, so I'm gonna just kind of do a quick eyeball mark of my centres on this, where the centres of the holes are. And I kind of probably should get some kind of measurement to the centre of the hole from here back or something like that, maybe. So when I cut this off, I kind of know where it's got to go back. Yeah? There's pinholes, there's a pinhole there. I can see daylight through this. It's kind of, someone's welded a patch in through here. And there's still a bit of weld down there. It's kind of cleaned up okay, but she might be a bit thin, possibly. I'm just trying to decide where I cut it. Like if I cut through here and kind of cut down across there like that, cut through that way, pull that off. That way I'm still gonna, that'll come off with it. I don't know, I'll figure it out. I'd rather kind of trim it after I've cut it than kind of cut too much off, if you know what I'm saying. Alright, I better take some measurements as well. I need my little press brake here. Well, it's not really a press brake, it's just a little hand brake. Not like a hand brake that stops your car rolling away, but it's like a brake for braking steel, but you do it with your hand. It's not quite got enough onions to do this this size steel, but I'm going to force it in here anyway and probably break it in the process. Okay, great, let's do it. Not quite a 90, it's about that far. No, more than that. Yeah, there. Oh, a bit too far, but I have to go and straighten it out now. It, I think. Right, I think next up I'm going to have to cut off those, well, cut the first foot off so then I can confirm all of this before I try to bend up all this, because yeah, as you can see it doesn't bend that easy, so I think I might end up hammering and vicing it to bend it the rest of the way, yeah? Oh well, let's get at it. There's no other way but to just get in here and cut this off, I reckon, and then rebuild it from there. It's too far gone back here to bother mincing around with it. Initially I thought, oh yeah, I'll just patch it up, but nah, it's just got to go. Just do it. Alrighty, so that's my two pieces made. If you're wondering what that centre hole is, that's the new drain hole that goes up in behind that the factory didn't have. See, I'm improving on perfection. Yeah, it's true. So anyway, that's them kind of made. They look a bit, I kind of munted it up on the inside a wee bit, but with trying to straighten it out again. That'll be alright. There's big, they'll be welded, and there's going to be big washers and bolts and stuff in there anyways. So I'm gonna set up one side, weld that in place before I cut the other one off and whatnot, so I can go back and forth referencing the one I've already done and the one I haven't done. You get what I'm saying? So let's go do that. Alrighty, and also I've drilled a couple of holes in here for plug welds that'll plug into the back side of this, so that's going to sit up there, something like that. Gonna have to do some gap jumping, build up some weld on the inside here because it's a bit thin, and I've kind of like chopped it out, but it's kind of not enough to make a whole new piece for. So I've still got a line here for centering up one of my holes. As long as I get that within cooey where it's supposed to be, I can then uh-oh, that wasn't really supposed to happen, but it has now, so we'll just leave it at that, and we can figure out whether we're all good or not. I think it needs to go in a little bit actually. There we go. Yeah, now that's better. Okay, so I might need another set of vice grip. There's 11. Kind of level. High on the ends, this and down. This is all kind of what we do anyway, so I'm kind of only really getting a rough estimate. 245, and then 250, and there, 255, and there. Hang on, about 250. Don't know. Two, 5, 4, 0.35, 0.2, 0.3, yep. 6.5, 7.5, 7, 6.5. No, pretty close. I'm going to tack this in place. I haven't drilled these holes yet because I'll do that once I've got this in place. Yeah? Okay. Right, welding. Whoa, man, just hot. Had to do a bit of stunt welding in there, kind of bridge up some gaps that was just kind of some wafer thin stuff that's been welded and ground and welded and ground, and it's just, there wasn't much left of it. But it's done now. Like I said earlier, it wasn't really worth kind of cutting the thing. Some people cut these off, these front mounts off altogether. I just wanted to kind of keep them. Still want to do a bit of work on this, smooth it all up, clean it all up. The welds ain't the prettiest, but they'll be fairly strong, and I reckon, well, they'll be stronger than the steel around them, put it that way. And I reckon with a bit of, I'll brush a bit of seam sealer or something over them once they're all primed up, just to dress them up. Took care of a couple of little pinholes over on this side here as well, so that's how I'm doing this. I'm going to jump ahead and do the other one. I'll show you when I'm finished, because all this stopping and starting to tell you guys what's going on and what I'm doing, and trying to show you how I'm doing it and why I'm doing it, and you know, I don't know, like stuff like that. It sort of takes time, but maybe I'll just time lapse it for you, eh? So get ready. I'll time lapse it. Okay, then you can watch too. Yeah, then you can enjoy it just as much as I am. Cool. Okay, you ready? Set. Go. Go. Okay, so battery went dead part way through that time lapse, but finished welding up that. Don't know where the battery died at this point until I get into the edit. Had to do some jumping of gaps and stuff to get in there, that one as well. So I'm just going to do a little bit of a clean up on some of these little like pinholes and stuff. Can't really get into there too well, but I might get the old power file out and give it a bit of a woo, just to kind of take the tops off them and off the high spots, because you know, like I missed a little bit, and I'll go in there and go just try and touch it in, and I miss it again, and then I go and try and touch it in and miss it again, end up with like a little like Mount Everest off to the side of a hole. So you kind of end up, I should have just got on there in the die grinder and cleaned it up, you know, but I get impatient and so I don't. So yeah, that's my mounts kind of modified. I've still got to fold these, and I'm going to, you know, clean up a few places and whatnot. So I'm going to get on to that right now. A little bit of word of warning: if you're getting these, if you're using one of these power files, you're buying belts in New Zealand, it doesn't matter where you get them from, they just want to snap all the time. It's a pain in the ass. They never used to be like this, but they are now. Okay, over here. That's them, giving them a quick kind of grind up. Nothing, not going nuts on it. I'm just gonna just kind of take the high spots off, like I said, like before. But now I'm gonna drill the holes. Figure out how big they need to be with one of my offcuts. Second to last hole on this step bit. So I'll drill those. I might even drill maybe a couple of extra little drains in there as well, just so, or just a drain maybe off in the far corner, just so, you know, water gets in there, it runs off. So get at it. Just when you think it was done, I just had a little thought. When I dropped the engine down lower, I had the exhaust sort of manifolds come through here, around about here. I dropped them down a little bit lower, so now I'm just going to trim out a little bit more out of that, just to make sure I clear those exhaust things, manifolds. Should be alright, be pretty close. Don't know what's easier, trimming these or modifying the exhaust. Probably trimming these because I'm right here. So, more trimmage. Where's that thing? Where's my earmuffs? Battery. Alrighty, so done, I think, for now. I mean, it's still got to be prepped up for paint. I've got to weld up 1 or 2 holes on the firewall, and then you know, prep it all up, get it ready for painting and stuff. Same down here. It's just kind of in a raw finish at the moment. I'll get back onto these when I start on this firewall, which maybe in the next video. I've got to get some more supplies, shielding gas for one, keep telling you about that. So that's those. Anyway, yeah, anyway. That's them folded back. That could probably go back a tad more. That one there's a bit squarer than that one. But that kind of does two things. It clearances for the exhaust, which runs through about here, and it kind of puts a little tiny little bit of stiffness back into it, having it welded there. You know, it could potentially fatigue it and crack it, but I doubt it. I had to do some like heavy fill welding in there on both of them to because it was kind of like already been repaired and it was a bit pieced together and stuff like that. But I think it'll be alright once, you know, kind of get some primer in there and maybe, you know, seam seal the lap joints and stuff, and I'll get some stuff and spray down inside there and seam seal the back of it and all that kind of stuff, just to keep the water out of the lap joints. But yeah, that's it for that little project. That's another one that's kind of been bothering me. Didn't quite know what to do with it until I got into it. Yeah, just one of those things. Hopefully they still line up when I go to put the body back on the chassis. What'll be easier, cutting those off or moving the mounts on the chassis? Equally as difficult. Or just drilling new holes and wallering out those and putting big washers in. That's probably how I'd go if it's close. But yeah, so that's that little project done. Yeah, next up I'll probably get on to the holes on the firewall if I don't have other parts to go on with, but I've got to get my gas bottle filled up, so hopefully I'll do that next week. Yeah, so that's where we're going to leave this video. As always, if you haven't subscribed, get on there and do some subscribing. Hit the button and the notifications bell if you want to go that way. Otherwise, just subscribe, man. It's free, it's cheap. You get to see this, and this, and this, and this. And yeah, just get in there, do it. Yeah, and as always, as well, thanks for watching, and take it easy, and peace. Beer time. Let's go. Oh, and clean up. I've got to clean up, and then I've got to turn shit around and get this chassis back in here. It cleaned up, turned this around on the driveway. What a mission. Like, I think that was harder work than I'd done all day today, actually, just turning the chassis around by myself, pushing it, and one beer in, just getting the chassis moved around. Yeah, till next time, see ya.